I didn't actually plan on making this video, but what has happened to me, I purchased these two restored axes off of someone on Craigslist, and I was super excited. And you can see like the guy kind of grounded them out and made them look pretty, and like they're quite sharp. Here was mushroomed out and he obviously grounded it down. Fixed that off, took some of the rust off. I'm not sure if he made the patina on it or if this is like the actual It's got a nice patina to it. And the head itself is like, it's a nice head. It's hefty. It's got a lot of weight to it. It's something that I wanted. I wanted a bigger axe than the hatchet. So I went for something like this style. It's still a splitter and a chopper. It's not just meant for splitting wood. So it could kind of do both, and it's got a lot. This is a heavy head. So he said these handles were maple, and I'm really starting to doubt that now. But I mean, I took a few good swings, everything was fine, and then kunk, broke it off. They looked really nice when I was there and purchasing it, and I got both of these for $35 in total. So I'm not like crazy invested. I just think that the handle he put on this was cheap, and he just made it look nice. I think he put a bit of lacquer on it. I think he just lied and said, "Oh yeah, it's a maple handle." And then I was like, "Oh, it's $35. It's not too bad for like this type of like it's the head that's like really the valuable thing, right?" So I mean, it's overpriced when the handle's broken, but what I'm gonna do in this video is replace the handle and put a legitimate good hickory handle on here. I gotta find myself a handle first, ones that I like. I haven't done this before. This is my first time. I watched a few videos on it. I know the basics of it, so I'm gonna give it a shot and do it myself so I know exactly what I'm doing, what's gonna be in this, and I can do everything myself. So the first step is to take out this part here, and what I've been doing is just drilling it out. And I'm not gonna, I mean, it's kind of boring watching someone just drill away, so I'm gonna drill away this and take a chisel, get this eye cleaned up. Okay, so I bashed out, got that centerpiece out, got the eye all cleaned up. This is what it kind of looked like. It had one of those metal clips. It definitely had a wood wedge in there, so I mean it was done right, I guess. So I'm just checking in again. After I just filmed that last little part, I decided to take the hatchet out and just wail on it a bit, on a stump. I wasn't like hitting the handle. I was just, aiming directly for the stump, making sure that, it wasn't just a freak accident. And what do you know? I broke it. The exact same thing. Broke right here. And to me, that just means it's cheap ass wood. I know that you can get heads way, 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 way cheaper, around $5 or something per head. So I definitely lost money in that sense, but I'm going to build two nice axes. It will be cheaper than going to a retail store and purchasing something. I managed to find a hickory handle that was $15 at Canadian Tire, surprisingly enough. It's a Yardworks branded one. Genuine hickory. It's got 4 years warranty, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I went on Amazon and was looking around, and people kind of struggle to find handles here in Canada in certain areas and with shipping and all that deal. And basically what I would get on Amazon would be something very similar, between $10 to $15, except I wouldn't be able to view it first and pick the best one. So I picked the one that had a pretty decent grain orientation. At least it's, somewhat, you want it running this way the most you can. You don't want it going across. I got the whitest looking hickory I could find, and didn't try to get one that had like knots or heartwood or dark stuff in it, because that's where the weak points are. What I need to do though is, because The eye is a lot smaller. I'm going to have to rasp this down. You know, you're going to end up sliding that on. Get it down nice and tight. And the axe handle came with a wedge and 2 circular bits that help keep the axe in place. Hammer this wedge in with a little bit of wood glue. Once the axe is on properly, and then you bash one of these right through. I have a spare one for later, and I also salvaged this metal part off of the other one. So I've started getting a better shape on the axe head here, if my camera can focus. But you can see that it's so wide compared to the eye that is on my axe. And what I've been doing is kind of pushing it in and then hitting it with a rubber mallet a bit, and then getting those little grooves you can see, and that's where the hot spots are. And then what I basically been doing has been carving it down and then sanding it. Just taking little flakes off with my knife and then hand sanding it. Pretty like laborious process, not too fun. It's probably a better way to do it than I'm doing it, obviously. But okay, well, I have the head of the axe on. It's quite straight, you know. It took me a while to carve it, and it's sitting flush right now. I really pounded this thing in with like a rubber mallet, so it's on there pretty good. Okay, so I hammered in the wedge there. You can see that it filled in quite a bit of the gaps that I had previously without that wedge. The wedge got really thick at the end, but I put a little bit of glue in there and just hammered it in with a hammer. Now I'm just going to saw it off. I got that circle bit in. It's flush. It's under, just right under there. And kind of mushroomed out when I was hitting it, but it looks kind of cool actually. The length from head to toe, about 28 inches. What is that, 27? 27 and a half. So it's pretty big. I would more like my axe to be around 20, maybe 23. Okay, well, this is how the axe is starting to look now. I decided that I might as well just cut this handle. The main reason is because I don't really need to use, I just don't need a 28-inch axe, and so I made it 23 in total. So, the handle's about a 20-inch handle, and this is, 3 inches or so. I stripped the varnish off, sanded it all down, and what I'm doing is I'm going to carve out this bump. I've been hitting it a bit with my hatchet there. I'm going to carve that out so it's a little thinner up here to grab onto, and then I'm going to take this bump down a little bit so it feels more natural for the end of the axe here. And I mean, the only tools I'm using my Fisker's little hatchet there. This is a 14-inch. You can see the difference, and like the power in this the axe that I'm building is just going to be so much more effective for felling and splitting and all that deal. And I know it's kind of a funny story on how I ended up putting this handle on and it all, and right now I have $35 invested into this axe, and this was $30, so this is gonna be awesome. You can't find something like this for $35. So after many hours of hand carving with a knife, sanding it down, and trying to get more of a nicer axe shape out of this handle, I finally finished it. I, did a nice sandpaper finish. I went from 80 grit to 100 and then 150 because that's what I had available to me. And then I put olive oil finish onto it. I know lots of people like doing boiled linseed oil, but olive oil is what was available to me, so that's what I ended up doing. And I think that it'll be perfect for it. So, and I also put my own axe collar on there with some paracord. and electrical tape, and I'll show another video on what I did with that, so I won't talk too much about that, but I love the way that this handle turned out. This was the old handle. You can see that I tried to get it about the same length because I really liked the length of this axe. It is, as it stands now, from head to tip, it's 22 inches. So it's about, I think the Grand Force Brooks is right around the 19 to 20 inch. So it's got 2 more inches on the handle there. Probably doesn't really notice it, but this head is bigger for sure. I think it's almost 4 inches on the blade there. And how long is this thing? 6.5 or something. I think that this head is a 1.75 pounds. That's what I'm gonna guess. I don't have a means of weighing this, which I wish I did. I'm guessing that the axe in total might be about 2.5 pounds. That's just a guess. It might be 3, I don't know. I'm not gonna do a lanyard hole in the bottom because I don't really want to drill a hole through there, split the wood and crack it and stuff like that. And the functionality of a lanyard hole, I'm not going to use it. I've never used it. I've never used something like this. All it is used for is to hang your axe up, right? Because it's just dangerous especially with an axe of this size, if you're like thinking like, oh, I'm going to put a lanyard on it and then attach it to my wrist, like that's just stupid. Because if this axe slips out of your hand, you're going to ruin your wrist and then also have the chance of the axe coming back at you and just nailing you in the knee or something. So never like use those holes to wrap paracord like around your wrist when you're using these axes to have a solid grip on it, because if something does happen, that thing is attached to your body and it's not going to go flying into the forest, it's going to go flying into your body. And that's going to really, yank on your forearm and your wrist too. I would consider this a medium-sized forest axe. Small forest axe, I think that's what the Grand Force Brooks they call it, is about 19 inches. Hatchet is usually around 14 inches long. So this one's 22 inches. Felling axes, this handle started off for a 28-inch axe. So I took off 6 inches. A really good splitter. And I've already tried it a bit on some splitting and a little bit of, felling, chopping tasks, and it's awesome. Lots of weight in this head. The more weight in your head, the more work it's going to do. And as long as this thing is sharp, there's no reason why this can't perform just as well as like the Wetterlings, Grand Force Brooks, Holtzfors Brooks axes. Bottom line of 150 for the good axes, which is a Holtzfors Brooks. And the Cold Steel Trail Boss is like $50 or something. It's bigger than this. The head quality is questionable. You might get weird grains in your handles and stuff. It's cheaper. It's an option for people who don't want to go through this process, but this is going to be a better axe than the Cold Steel Trail Boss, I think, for me, because it's a little smaller. It's a little more functional, and the handle, I love the handle. It just feels great. This axe feels great in my hands. So for those of you out there, this is a real option. Like, it's not too hard to replace a head, replace the handle, and reshape it. I did a lot of this with my Mora companion, carving down this part. I flaked it off with my knife, and I just slowly worked on it, trying not to take too big of gouges out of it. Slowly worked it down into here, making this little notch. I sawed this off with my Baco Laplander to make this kind of design. And then I just hand sanded it. No power tools involved. And those were the tools that I used to reshape this handle. I suggest if you want to see the actual hands-on process, go watch Wrangler Star, I think his YouTube channel is. You'll find it if you YouTube it. He did a good demonstration that I followed. All that's left to do is to go and test this out